the issues of climate change, one of our 4 pillars, as being very, very important. In India, with all of the nature-based communities, nature-dependent communities like the indigenous communities, fisher folk, farmers, they're experiencing lowering levels of water. They are experiencing fluctuating weather patterns, which is making their traditional livelihoods more difficult. And many of them are being forced because of deforestation, because of changing conditions, being forced to migrate to cities. And it's what we also saw and experienced in the cities that we went through is a huge labor class of migrant people who are having a very, very difficult time at surviving. And we felt that the need of the hour, both for climate mitigation as well as people's livelihoods, is to see greater rural employment, greater rural settlements, rather than expanding slums in cities, which only pressures cities for greater services, which again is environmentally devastating. So these were our experiences in India. We also, if I could just quickly add, in our trip in Armenia, which was a mountainous region, the Caucasus Mountains, we found again that the bleeding of rural communities into cities meant that the traditional livelihood pattern, which is much more sustainable and climate friendly, was getting destroyed. And we also saw in the Caucasus the melting of the glaciers, the drying up of water resources, and this is putting a huge pressure on the economy and on the people of Armenia. And so, yes, we saw in both cases in India and Armenia great climate effects on marginalized people and in cities.
So important, and I think will lead us into the next question about your experience of the coronavirus 19 pandemic, which has had a devastating effect, obviously, on your walk. But I think you also have experience of what it's done in Armenia, but also in India with the migrant workers going back to their homes and what that has created. So please tell us about your experience of that.
We think in Jai Jagat that the coronavirus raised the issues of Jai Jagat better than our march did. People are now witnessing the problems of the kind of economic and non-sustainable development that we're following, not only in the UK, in India, and many other countries. And this has opened our eyes to say that now we must make changes in our relationship with nature, the violence which we've been perpetuating on, for instance, the relationship with animals, the relationship with our natural resources, the relationship with our biospheres, particularly the upper atmosphere with global warming. We need to change our relationships and see our relationship with nature much more as an interaction, not just as a human exploitation. We need this virus we've needed this virus in a way to open our eyes. And what we hope is that in the coming days, people will take this as a lesson and not just see the particular events of today as a medical intervention, but as the need of a change of a development intervention. And
the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, and we humans have been around for 2 million years. Our existence is dependent entirely on the existence of Earth itself. But for the past 200 years, we have vehemently defied all the ethics of the fragile relationship we have with the planet. The Jai Jagat Yatra, an 11,000-kilometer long foot march, takes up humanity's greatest challenge of all times, the global climate emergency. Through one of the four pillars of this immensely contemplative and generative movement, 50 peace walkers have committed to walk for a year from New Delhi, India to Geneva, Switzerland for spreading the message of peace and non-violence through four pillars, while also promoting the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi and Kasturba Gandhi. The Yatra aims to engage different stakeholders and common people in a dialogue to create awareness and take necessary actions about the crisis the Earth is going through at present. Of the 2,500 kilometers of Jai Jagat Yatra, the Yatris have gone through extreme heat, torrential rains and freezing temperatures. The most emerging experiences were through forests. In the Indian Sojourn, the Yatris had close interaction with Saharia, Kurku and Gond tribes. Since their sustenance is through forests, they worship the nature as their God and Holy Spirit. They have been guardian to the precious natural resources. And unlike the rest of the world, they have been living in great harmony with forests. It is also hard to deny the fact that they are also the most vulnerable and disadvantaged people of the world. They are facing increasing pressure to exploit their ancestral land to feed a consumption-driven economy. That has contributed in global warming, climate change, loss of biodiversity, irregular waste disposal and pollution.
Big company, big lobby try to prevent the water and to catch the water for the industry, and after people pay expensive for the water. And the problem is the water is a common wealth. It's for everybody.
The Padyatris, as we call these travelers, have witnessed adverse effects of urbanization all through their way. Unchecked urban development has led to compromising of air and water quality. Consumption levels are so high that waste disposal has become a major issue.
Right now we're walking to a place where a lot of waste is being dumped, which is really creating a danger situation for the children here. The kids are falling ill.
As the urbanization increases at a rapid pace, there is an ever-increasing extraction of natural resources.
Mining's both in full work, and also mining plots that seem to have been left and become decrepit. I suppose we'd like to try and continue this employment style. While mining is good, that's great, but what happens in the future when mining finishes and the town is then challenged for employment? Can we think about using resources perhaps in more shared and balanced ways? Could we maybe think as an administration of controlling them?
If we have acted as carcinogenic agents to the planet of life, we, the humans, and only we can bring about a positive change and restore what has been lost. No amount of technological advancement can change the present circumstances as strongly as reinstating the values of non-violence in all the structures of the world, be it economic, politics, society, education, or news and media. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, there is enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed.
name's Simbi. I'm here today representing myself a little bit. I'm here to kind of talk about some of my motivations for being active and trying to respond to the climate emergency that we're facing. From a global perspective, my interest is I've got friends and family living in Zimbabwe, and in March 2019 they were hit by a cyclone that devastated the mountain communities up there. Because it was March, they were just getting ready for their harvest in April, so the crops were fully grown, everything was washed away. I did get to go there in December and see firsthand the devastation that had caused, the trauma that it caused to communities and the trauma that's still carrying on. As we speak, a year on, there's still over 600 families living in temporary shelters that were given to them by the international community. The rainy season is upon them again. They're living in fragile conditions. A lot of them have lost their livelihoods. And so it is a long haul back from that. And it's just how we can, play our part in kind of raising awareness as the devastation that climate change is causing in real terms and real lives and real tragedies, really.
Yeah, on all these stands were houses. They were all houses all over, but they were swept away. The water just came through this channel. That's the channel there, and then it just swept away all the houses that were on these stands. Very pathetic. Many families died on the occasion. Many families died. Horrific. Oh. These are all properties, clothes, and furniture. As you can see, many people died. This is what happened on this area. Then there is another area. It's down. There are two areas down there. They've been also affected.